Hey everyone, this is Jennifer Beamer, owner-operator of Exploit Dyed Art by Science, and today we are going to be finishing up the Yuna Shrug by adding this cute little silk ribbon at the top. Now this is an optional feature, but I think it's nice because this is a one-size-fits-most pattern. For smaller people, you might want this feature so it fits on your shoulders a little bit better. And for those of you who maybe added more length to this, you can cinch this a little tighter and make it more like a cape rather than a shrug, which is kind of cool because you can have two accessories in one. You can have sort of like a really long shrug that covers most of your upper body, or you can have a cape, just from one thing rather than two different things. So I don't have pictures of this available yet, but I will soon. But basically what I wanted to do with this video is show you how I wove this silk ribbon at the top. So you can kind of see here, it's like the yarn is making a zigzag over the top, right? And that's because I threaded this silk ribbon through the actual stitches. So there's nothing in the pattern that you have to worry about. So you can have holes to work this through, because if you use even this is a pretty wide ribbon. Even if you use sort of a wider ribbon, it should fit through the stitches between your cast on or bind off edge and the stitches of the fabric. So I'll show you how to do that here in a second. So here's my finished Yuna Shrug. Lovely. It's been washed and dried and all that stuff. I didn't have to block it because it's really not necessary. And then I'm just going to double check to make sure I have the right edge at the top. So my cast on is usually a little bit looser than my bind off, so I like to have the bind off at the top, which, because this pattern is reversible, I can just switch which end is up. And then here I have my ribbon. I asked you guys after this had been washed and dried which you preferred, whether I should iron it or not iron it, and the internet actually united on this. Most people said don't iron it, so I am not going to iron it. I think it looks nice not iron, and as well as if I'm going to be weaving this and then tying it into a bow or a knot or something like that, it's going to get wrinkled anyway. Plus, if you see actually how I have everything in my like Warmies box, I have it's actually my box. Mr. IT guy stuff can't fit in it. It has all of my knitted stuff sort of like rolled up or like folded, so it's going to get wrinkly anyway. So when I first got this like out for this project, there were two pieces, so I had to stitch these together. Now, I don't have a sewing machine in Korea, I just have needle and thread, so I actually stitched this together myself. So please don't poke fun at my stitches. So I basically did a back stitch along the top here, and then since I didn't want this edge to fray, I did my own zigzag stitches across here to sort of lock that in place. But I really like the unfinished look, so I kind of left the sides as they were. And then on the back side here, I overlapped it a little bit by an inch and a half or so, and then I used a hem stitch, and I just hemmed this in place so that it was a little bit sturdier. I didn't overlap exactly at the end. I overlapped it kind of like top stitching, I guess, in a way. And then my hem stitches are invisible, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I didn't have one long piece, so this is my solution to that issue. And then it took, I think, maybe 6 or 7 washes to actually get all the red out of this. So if you're going to be using any kind of like reclaimed silk, make sure that, especially if it's a saturated color like red or blue or green, you really want to wash this extremely well so that you can get all of the extra dye out of it. so that you know, when you weave it through your finished project, you don't have to wash this 6 or 7 times just to get the dye out of the silk. Okay, so when I did my weaving here, what I did was kind of like a running stitch in hand sewing. So I put the ribbon in towards the back of the fabric and I pulled it out a little further towards the front of the fabric. Okay, and you can kind of see that here, like for this spot here, I went into the fabric through the loops there and then out through the front here. So you can see, you know, this is the spot where the ribbon, of course, went through the back. So that's basically what I'm doing here for this. Now, I'm putting this knot over here on the right side so that I don't obscure my lovely cables here. If you have a smaller ribbon, you could put it up here in the front if it doesn't obscure it too much, or maybe you like that look, that's fine. You are welcome to have an opinion. So I started off here by going under the first of the knit stitches. So that's what we're going to do here. So I basically just lay it flat to find the side here. And I want this to be a little bit forward in the front. So I'm going to start actually on this particular knit 2 rib. So I just start by putting my finger through the hole. These holes form very naturally, so you don't have to worry about it being perfect or anything. You just need to make the hole big enough so you can thread this through. So we're going to go into the fabric, like that. Okay. And then we're going to go out the fabric just before the purl section. Okay. And then we're going to go just before the knit section and thread that through. Okay, so here we have started the weaving section. So this end is, when I get it all through, is going to be the end that gets tied. So when I'm done with the threading part, this is going to be the end. So it's going to be, you know, maybe put in a little bow, or maybe it's going to be you know, just tied in a square knot like I did for this one. This ribbon was a lot thicker and a little shorter, so I didn't actually have enough space to make a bow, so I just did a square knot. So let's do this one more time. So I went into the fabric. I'm going to pop out here before we get to the pearls and thread this through. Okay. And you can see on the top how it's starting to do that zigzag motion. And it will become more apparent as we do more. So now you can see this pattern starting to form with the weaving. Okay, so here is the finished result. Basically, all I did was I finished threading it through, and then I evened up these ends so that when they are tied, they'll kind of hang at a similar length. And then I kind of just evened the spread here on the top so that the spaces here looked all similar. Now when you wear this part is going to stretch out a little bit, so this part will stay the same, this part will stretch out, so this won't look quite so ripply, especially if you give this a good wash when you're done. I did that with my original Yuna so that this part at the top would lay a little flatter, and it does. So you can measure this distance and then compare it to yourself so that when you make this bow, it'll fit you when you first put it on. But all I'm going to do is tie it here in a nice loose overhand knot. And then I'm horrendous at making bows, which is why I almost never make them. My dad is left-handed, so a lot of the ways that I do things are from a left-handed person's perspective. So I make my bows kind of weird, so if you're watching this video and wondering what the heck I'm doing, well, that's part of the reason. And I think I'm a little bit lopsided here. What did I do? I'll have to fix it off camera. But, you know, there you have your floppy bow. If I wanted to, if this was too long for me, I could always cut this and then, you know, do something to the end so that it didn't fray really horribly. But yeah, there you go. You basically have your Yuna Shrug complete with adorable little ribbon at the top, and it's ready to be worn. So I want to extend a huge thank you to everyone who has watched this video series, and especially those who have given me feedback. Other people have made this into a smaller version, which we have dubbed the Krug, because it's somewhere between a cowl and a shrug. It's smaller than this, so, you know, clearly not a shrug, but definitely larger than just a cowl, so Krug it is. And then someone else ended up making a really lovely pillow from this pattern by basically stitching up either end after, you know, stuffing one end with fiberfill or something, and you have this cute little a pillow. So there you go, a shrug, a krug, and a pillow. So thank you to everyone who has made this pattern with me and given me some interesting feedback. I really appreciate it. And anyway, if you liked this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.